I have taken you to odd and unusual final resting places on my channel before, but this one just may be the most unusual that I have ever visited. Today's journey brings us to Johnson County, Indiana, to County Road 400. If you didn't know this was here, you may pass on by without giving it a second thought. However, all is not as it would appear at first glance. 200 years ago, there was no paved road through this Indiana countryside. In the middle of this road, you will find the final resting place of Nancy Curlin. And how we got here is an interesting story in and of itself. Nancy wasn't very old when she passed away, only 39 years old. The area in which we stand today was home to Nancy, and even in death, she didn't want to leave, and the story goes that it was her final request to be laid to rest right here, where we are today. And the story also goes that progress in this countryside was starting to move forward some years later, as it always does, and the county looked to build a road right through this small cemetery. It was said that some graves were moved to accommodate, but Nancy's son remembered the promise made to his mother and his stern desire to protect her final wishes to be buried here. And his efforts were successful the first time that the road was built. The road would be built around her grave, and this is how it would remain for years until the county and road crews looked to widen the road. Something that simply couldn't be done without relocating the grave. When crews approached Nancy's grandson, they were met with threats of violence, and this would head off building the road once again. A concrete slab would be poured here over her grave just in case this became an issue years later. And of course, it did. Eventually, the grave would be properly marked in the middle of this road, and there would be a roadside marker placed by the road telling this unique story. There would also be another twist. Archaeologists were on hand to exhume the site, so the burial place could be properly protected, and when they did, the remains of at least 7 other people would also be found. So, as with anything historical, you just never know what you're going to find. We recently took a trip to Indiana, and when we found that this place existed, we knew that we had to visit. I visit a lot of famous graves, and I was able to while here, but I love finding the odd and off-the-wall locations, and not only that, I love learning about them myself. I didn't recall ever hearing about this particular location, but I am so glad that I was able to visit. I love this story and how steadfast her family was that her grave would absolutely not be moved from this location, and here we are 200 years later, and her final resting place is still right here. I really enjoyed visiting this location and telling this story. If you enjoy cemetery and history videos, I invite you to subscribe and come along. We have a great time on this channel and a great community as well. Once again, from Indiana, at the final resting place of Nancy Curlin, I will see you again soon.